First, we're going to talk about creating a mail merge. Mail merge is the ability to create a mass mailing based on a single publication template. That means you can create a letter in Publisher and have it addressed to every recipient in your address book or any other list of contacts. You may have seen this feature in action if you've ever gotten a political mailer with your name on it instead of the generic Dear Voter or Dear Recipient. The first thing you need to do before you begin a mail merge publication is acquire a recipient database. You may already have this if you keep all of your contacts in Outlook or some other email client. You can also create your own in a database program like Excel. Mail merge may seem like a complicated process to set up, but Publisher provides a wizard to help us do so as painlessly as possible. Let's launch the wizard and we'll walk you through the steps. To find the mail merge button, go to the Mailings tab, and on the far left of the ribbon, you'll find the mail merge button. Click the bottom of the mail merge button and then select Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard, and this pane opens here at the right of the publication. At the top of this pane, Publisher gives us a quick overview of how mail merge works. It tells you the first step is to create or acquire a recipient list, which we already discussed. The second step is to design your publication with mail merge fields, and the third is to create a merged publication. We're going to walk you through each of these steps. We'll start with creating or choosing a recipient list. So for getting our recipient list, we're given three options. We can use an existing list, and these are usually created in some kind of database program like Excel. We can use the names and addresses in an Outlook contacts folder, or we can create a new list. If you click on Use an Existing List and then click Next, it opens up a window where you can navigate to the location on your computer where the list is stored. If we were to select our contacts from Outlook, we would check this box and then advance to the next step of the Mail Merge Wizard. Publisher then automatically searches our Outlook folders to find contacts. It then shows us the available lists and the number of contacts contained in it. And that's illustrated here. There's only one folder containing recipients in our contacts account. So you'd select the account you want to use and then click OK. Then another window opens. Here we can review the recipient list and choose the ones we'd like to include. Unchecking a box by a contact name excludes that contact from the list, and click OK when you're finished. Now let's create our own custom list. Returning to this first screen of the Mail Merge Wizard, we'll select the Type a New List button and click Next. Here we can create and edit contact information. To add a new entry, click on the New Entry button. You can even customize column names that will be available when we create our publication. Once you've finished adding your names, click OK. And you'll be asked to save your list. Now that we've created a recipient list, we're ready to move on to the next step of the wizard, which is prepare your publication. And that's what this step looks like. The fields in the large box here are essentially placeholders. What you're going to do is drag those fields to the place in your publication where you want the corresponding recipient information to appear. For example, if you were writing an informal letter, you might want to drag the first name field to the Dear location in the publication. And you can see, I'll make it a little bigger, and you can see that appears here. That way, when you've created your mail merge publication, a recipient's first name will appear there. So whenever you insert a field into your publication, it's inside these little brackets here, just like this. And you can easily configure and add commonly used functions, such as address blocks and greeting lines. And let's take a look at that process. Here you can choose a greeting line format, and then select the greeting line for invalid recipient names. Invalid recipient names might be those contacts for which a first or last name wasn't included in the list. You can also click through your contacts to preview them. In this example, we're looking at a preview for our first contact. And you can use the Match Fields button to choose the correct field of your recipient database to show. Click OK when you're finished. When you're done creating your publication, click on Next, Create Merged Publications. And then we're in the Create Merged Publications window. And this is the last step of the Mail Merge Wizard. Publisher has essentially created a new publication for each of the recipients in your contact list. If you had 7 contacts, for example, Publisher created 7 publications. If you had 27, it created that many publications. The great thing, though, is that Publisher doesn't have to save all of those publications, which would take up valuable disk space. Instead, there's really only one publication with all the data fields inserted into it. Here we can choose to print the publications, preview them before printing, merge them into a new publication, and more. To preview the publications to be printed and perhaps double-check that all of our recipients' information was correctly inserted into our publication, click on the Print Preview button. After you've done this a few times and are familiar with the steps and procedures, you can skip the Mail Merge wizard and use the buttons in the ribbon. They work identically to what we saw in the wizard, just without the explanation for each. Email Merge works identically to Mail Merge, except when you're finished, instead of printing options, you're given email options. Now let's talk about creating labels. Publisher doesn't have a label button like Microsoft Word that automates the process. Instead, you have to create the labels just as you'd create any publication. You do, however, have a lot of templates to choose from that work well with Mail Merge. To create a new publication based on a label template or to create your own, go to File and click on New. Over here under Suggested Searches, click on Label. You can choose from a variety of label templates or you can choose your own. The page size of most labels can be found, including the kind made by Avery, Formtech, and 3M or Post-it. Be sure to select the size that matches the labels that you're using. If you don't, the labels won't print correctly. And once your label is open, you can use the Mail Merge functions that we mentioned earlier to create your labels. Now let's talk a little bit about managing embedded fonts. When creating a publication in Publisher, you can only use the fonts that are installed on your computer. Further complicating things is the fact that if you open a publication that uses a font that isn't installed on your computer, a different font will be substituted, and this can seriously impact the aesthetic design of your publication. To prevent this issue, Publisher gives you the opportunity to embed the fonts that you used in a publication directly into the publication file. This means that no matter what computer you open the publication on, those fonts will be available. So for example, this font here is one that I've installed on my computer, but that most people probably wouldn't have. So that's an example of where I might want to embed the font. There are a few caveats to this. The first is that you can only embed true type fonts. The second is that you can only embed the fonts for which this is allowed by its licensing agreement. That said, to include embedded fonts into your publication, go to the File tab, select Info, and then click on Manage Embedded Fonts. This opens a new window that contains a list of all the fonts used in the current publication. In the example here, there's only one font listed. Click the Embed True Type Fonts when saving publication box to embed these fonts. You can also choose whether or not to embed common system fonts, and whether you want to include subset fonts such as italics or bold. Now look here at the License Restrictions column. This tells us whether or not the font we used can legally be embedded in our publication. Now for any fonts you don't want to embed in the publication, you can click on its name, and then click on the Don't Embed button in the bottom right corner, and then click OK when you're finished. Now another thing you might need to do is edit your business information. To view and edit the business information that will be included and associated with your publication, go to the File tab, and then Info. Keep in mind that this isn't the recipient's information. This is the publication creator's information. In other words, it's yours. Click the Edit Business Information button. You'll then see this dialog box. To edit the information, simply click into any field and begin typing. You can even add a logo. Clicking the Add Logo button will allow you to navigate to an image file on your computer. And click Save when you're finished.